What is up, guys? Wallow J here, and I'm here with my co-host. He is the dream, Stephen Aiken. Say hello to the people, Stephen.
Hello to the peoples. I got the biggest brain, biggest head for the biggest brain. I'm not trying to talk shit about you though, Walla. That just saying, my head's
Well,
big.
yeah. I mean, listen. We normally have a guy that's got a 20-pound brain, but today you're replacing him. You got that 30-pound brain
You
shit
know,
going on.
just like one of those big alien brains from like the late '80s, early '90s movies or whatever. Just
Can you believe I've never got into those, bro?
I'm not really much into them either. I just seen a lot of the posters and
Yeah.
re-
My
clips of it,
brother's
but like
all
I was
about that
terrified of
shit.
all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I was a pussy little kid. I'm like, I don't want to watch that shit.
Not for sure, man. Like my folks were watching like Nightmare on Elm Street and
Oh
Night of
yeah.
the Living Dead, like all that junk. Just like we're just there, Chucky, whatever your child, just I was terrified of it. I was like, no, man, that ain't cool. I shouldn't be watching all this stuff. I'm like 7.
Shit, I remember going to the movies as a kid watching a James Bond movie, Moonraker, where the guy with the jaws and shit.
Mm,
And I was scared for a long time after watching that shit. I was like, what if that some guy like that comes with a
he's for
jaw?
real, son. He's coming.
Bro, come on.
You're gonna
That
learn.
shit. Bro, another movie that I couldn't watch as a kid that I finally watched it as an adult because I was like, all right, it's time I watch this shit. It was called It.
Oh, yeah, the clown.
Bro,
Yeah, Pennywise, right? Yeah, yeah. I'm not in. Yeah, mm-mm.
I saw a couple of scenes when I was a kid, and I was fucking petrified. I was like,
Mm.
no, I can't do this shit.
Yeah. That's just not really my genre. You know what I'm saying? I don't really. More like a comedy kind of guy myself, in some action, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Put me
for
on a
sure.
little Steven Seagal flick, you know what I'm talking about? I'll get out there and I'll be excited for that.
Hell yeah, hell
A
yeah.
little hand fighting.
Hey, we don't have a lot of news to share with the peeps, but we do have a
A couple
couple of
things, I think. Yeah.
roster announcement. If you wanna do the honors,
So one thing I think we missed it last time we were on the air, even announcing that Kyle Bain was the winner of the last qualifier. Did we say that?
right?
I don't even know
I
if we
don't, I,
really
I don't think we did,
because we had
but
we had had it on, so we didn't really get outside, the
right,
conversations with Nathan. So we didn't really have a chance to talk about that. But Kyle Bain was very dominant at the Nashville qualifier
very.
and put himself into season 7 of the PGF, which is, very exciting. Somebody who's going to definitely be dangerous, for everybody that's out there. And it's just another guy that I think, could favor this type of rule set where the actions be enforced and the the map maybe a little small overall, so there's nowhere they can really like run away a lot and get away and force them to kind of engage with Kyle a little bit more. Um, so yes, it's a good addition. It's a good qualifier win for him to get through there and kind of run through it. So yeah, it's cool.
I mean, he is one of those big name athletes that could have gotten an invite easily, but he didn't get one, and
Yeah,
he chose to go to a qualifier because he wants to be in it.
right,
Man,
right. That's great.
he was impressive, bro. I mean,
Yeah.
to
And
me,
so those guys were tough. Like that's saying, like it wasn't just like he showed up and beat like a bunch of guys that weren't any good either. Like some of those
no, no,
were
yeah,
pretty good quality wins to
for
get
sure,
uh, on a busy day, like
yeah.
double elimination with 40 guys or something like that. So it's tight.
It was deep.
Hmm.
So I
So
mean, he's a contender in my eyes. I mean, after watching what he did and seeing the roster, yeah, he's a contender, bro.
on the right team for sure, he's going to bring a lot to it. If he finds himself maybe not on the right formulation of teammates or whatever, uh, he may not do as well overall, I think, but he's really hard to finish, but despite his own ability to get quick taps and, a lot of finishes, he's really hard to get a finish on as well. So, he's going to be a solid pickup for anybody. Um, I just wonder how our the coaches are going to look at the ratings and what the ratings are going to be for them. Looking into it a little bit more, who they're going to see as their higher rated players coming in. Now with the experience of seeing last season's coaches have to go through it, they can watch, the documentary Grapplers that's on YouTube right now. You should check that out, or they can go back and watch, the replays of season 6 and get a bunch of like information, kind of off how that played out. Where, a lot of us thought spending a ton of money on the first pick, for PJ, and then maybe another top guy or whatever would be a good choice. Uh, but then it kind of leaves you lean in some other parts, and especially if somebody gets banged up or whatever it is. So now I'm curious what some of these coaches are going to be thinking about with that type of thing in mind. And this is a bigger, um, heavier weight class, and so I wonder what the attrition might be like versus last season. Last season was pretty heated, where guys got, several guys got put out pretty fast, and I wonder what that's going to look like also with this season once we get the full look at a roster. So it's getting interesting at the very least, for lack of a better term. And once we know who these coaches are, uh, I'll be able to start maybe seeing if we're familiar with them at all, or what's going on, what their strategies could be, and what they could be maybe leaning towards. And I'm wondering if they're going to be, veterans from past seasons, perhaps coaching, or if it could be some anyone from last season. I wonder if anybody wanted to come back and do it again, and see if they could, um, get a chance to knock Jean Jacques' team off, or if Jean Jacques coming back and he may be trying to like take us, back to back coaching title or whatever. That'd
He's
be a
trying to be
cool
the Phil
story.
Jackson of the PGF.
What dude, why not? Right? Wouldn't that be incredible that some one of these guys comes in and he's
Right.
like, I get this. I can coach these guys up. I know how to help pick and draft what I think this thing is. And we know how to do it in a good way consistently. There's gonna be somebody, I feel like, now that's angling that way. At some point, right? That they are always figuring out the game. They being, the thinkers, they're thinking already, right? So I'm curious. I'm curious if that's something that's, happening already, or when that might happen. Will we ever see back to back like coaching
Champion.
championships? Um, I don't know. I don't know.
It'd be kind of cool to see it though. I mean, but at the same time, it's like you have to have the same coach coming back over and over. And do they want to do it?
If I do, I did.
So
I would want to do
let
it
me ask
again.
you.
Like
I
a
got
lot of
two
us have
questions.
fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, we do. We
It's
we love
fun.
this shit. Yeah, I got two questions for you. When you
Okay.
were training and coming up, did you train any with Kyle, or no? Was he at a different school?
He was a lot in man, Phoenix,
Okay.
is where his home gym was at first, and
Okay.
then when he moved, he was in Oceanside more, and I was in San
Okay.
Diego more, like day to day, but definitely on, those cross train days, whenever that happened, and tons of open mats, uh, you know, like that. There's a lot of rolls where, we got to roll a lot, so yeah, I would say a good bit, but not like all the time, all the time.
Cool. Now, my other question for you, since you brought it up, is how would you approach being a coach? Like, what would be your strategy?
I think that, again, looking at the roster is going to determine a lot of what what you may have to do and what you may end up, getting to choose, Um, I feel like there definitely has to be a guy on your team that is like unbeatable. Not that he's going to win a lot, but he's just not going to get submitted by anybody. Like nobody's going to be able
Talking
to beat
about
this guy in a 6 minute round. Maybe even an AJ Agazarm kind of guy, a Nathan Haddett who can get, like a win and doesn't get submitted by anyone though. And so he adds a little bit. So they get those team points added to their team in those ways, right? So they boost that thing overall. So I'm looking for definitely guys that are more able to not get submitted a lot than maybe the guys who are trading submissions with people back and forth a lot, right? Like you got 6, but then you gave up 6,
yeah,
or
it's tough to watch.
you
Yeah,
got 3, you gave up 3, you got whatever like that. It's like so now you're scoring, but it's a team game now, right? And if you're giving up points as much as you're scoring, then you're not really helping the team. You may be putting yourself towards a playoff spot like individually, but is that going to help us as a squad get this check, at the end of the week? And I think that's going to be the thing too that could drive it a lot, right? You could have the best guy, but he ain't gonna be able to win the season for you by himself,
right,
So
right.
looking for depth, I think, and don't take the alternates uh like we, not serious or however. Like that's gonna be an
Right.
important job, I feel like too,
Look at
because
Dane Leak.
he scored. He came in and actually provided a plus, win ratio for his team when he scored. He didn't lose a single match and he won. He drawed, I think, other matches and then won, a match. And so that's a swing in a positive way that nobody else's alternates did. I think everybody else's alternates kind of got squashed a little bit as they kind of went through the season. They maybe drawed out a bunch of matches too, depending on the ones that got in earlier, but they gave up more than Dane did as well. So if you see an alternate that's coming in, at this season, who are they, and is this a guy that is going to come in for maybe you're picking a wild man, who likes to have shootouts and he gets popped a little bit or whatever, a Sadler kind of situation from last season. I need a guy to come in behind him that I think can score and at least not get dunked on routinely, right? So I think those things are going to become much more important going forward, like as well. Uh, and a team captain. I need a captain. You need
How
you
are
need
the matches set up? Are you selecting like this is my number one guy, my number two, three, four, five, like that,
draft
or
order. It goes in the draft order and they plug it into the algorithm that's already set up by this is like
okay,
team 1, 2, 3, 4, player 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be player 1 from team 1 season, and then whoever drafts him, that is him. Team 2, player 1, that's him. Whatever his season was is already kind of set, and so it's not random in that way. The season's
yeah,
already kind of set teams versus teams wise, but how the draft goes is what's going to determine, technically like matchup versus matchup, throughout the week because
okay.
some people don't get each other. Some people don't match up with everybody throughout the week, and that's I'd have to look at it. Kevin Sherrill has some good information on it, but the way that it's kind of set up, certain players with higher rankings don't match up with certain players with other rankings, that are higher or less. I can't remember exactly what that was, but there's an interesting little tidbit on that could make a big difference on how you should maybe select what's what too that maybe some nerd like Kevin will be able to figure out.
Yeah, that's too complicated for me. I'm like, what?
I'm pure emotions, you know what I'm saying? That's I need the guy. I need like I'll take like an Andy Varela for sure, as long as it's not gonna break the
Dude,
bank, right? I need a dude that's gonna be in there that wants to win. I want you to want to like everybody. I want you to expect to try to get this money, like, and I want you to try to be the number one guy, everybody. And if
I,
you
I
don't expect that, that's gonna be hard.
bro. Like I have advice for all these guys. Like if Andy Varela's in your season, do not fucking call him out.
Call him out. Do
Don't
it.
say that you want to match up with him or nothing. You're
It's
gonna
good
get
for
the
you.
matchup anyway. But did you see the documentary in episode 2 when he was like, "Oh, he called me out." Okay, he don't
Yeah,
he don't take that kindly, bro.
I know, and I get it. And dude, if I was him, I would feel the same way for sure.
But it's a
Right.
competition, though. Yeah,
And that's what I'm saying. Like in a big way, it's like you want to, and it's that whole thing is like, oh, you want to know what it's like in the big leagues, kid. And then the guy throws you the fastball, and like, oh, that's that's what a fastball is. It's like it's not like some little Ricky Dick pitcher, or what I mean. Is like these kids show up to the NFL and those grown men are out there hitting them. It's like it's a little bit
yeah,
different, and not to say that those guys won't mature into those other kinds of guys in a few years, as we see
right.
Kevin, is right there with a lot of
Oh
people.
yeah,
But Andy felt like it was important for him to make a statement that there's a gap right there, right now, that exists, and if you want to know what it's like, he wanted to show him what the gap was, and respect both guys for Kevin wants to know what it's like. He wanted to
yeah.
go see if he could hang with or beat, perhaps catch, somebody like Andy Varela. And props to him for, wanting to set his, you know, targets high. Everybody could be looking to get some quick taps on these lower, 5 ranked whatever guys on other teams or whatever, but he knew he was going for a number 1 seed that somebody would have on their team, and that you know, he wasn't being disrespectful in any kind of way. I don't
Oh no,
feel
no.
like, and that's just fun. That's as the competitor though, Andy, he had to take it that way, and say that, and show that. So it's funny, and I'm glad that it happened, honestly, and not to either person, but it's just one of those cool experiences in sports that does happen at all kinds of sports, and then eventually though that young lion does become
The lion.
the old dog. He's got his scars and he's battle worn, you know what I'm saying? And it comes it comes, man. Father Time's undefeated, and that's the way it goes. So yeah, as long as you got the heart to keep showing up to the fights, guys like Kevin are going to eventually beat guys like Andy. It might take 5 or 6 or 8 years, but if Andy keeps going, eventually he'll have to give up that crown,
Yeah.
to those next
The-
generation guys. It happens to all of us. It's just the nature of again of sports, but in life, that's like a classic story,
Bro,
So
what about the young kids that are already there, like Jet Thompson?
you gotta like face slap, palm them, and slap them a little bit, and that's the kind of thing that was happening with that too. Is like
Yeah.
he's playing the game the way that he's supposed to, and as a younger person, he hasn't really had to deal with a lot of the consequences of that type thing, you know what I mean? And he's good enough though to handle himself if people do try to turn it up. That's why he does it, because he wants you to open up and try to get him, because if you do that, he knows he can usually find something to latch onto and get at. um but for like a vet guy in general, it's like that's not, if you're going to play that game, then that's okay. We can just go ahead and do it, and not really like hide it. And Jet got by with a lot of like kicking, I think, during the season. Like almost like dude, in my
They're
mind,
like
it was
pushing off.
a seated drop kick basically to these guys' chests and waist and stuff like that. He was just like kicking the shit out of them. Uh, and like, if it's okay, it's okay. You know what I mean? But I feel like if you can kick me in the gut, I'm gonna drop like a hammer at some point of something. Like there's got to be some repercussion or balance or what, you know what I mean? Are we playing the same game or not? Because if you can kick me,
Right.
then I can hit you. Or if you're using that to push or frame or etc., that's different. But if you're going to just kick me, then that's different. Or just like if a guy's going to slap you instead of try to like get an aggressive hard collar tie, you could tell a lot of times the difference. If a guy is, it's like, oh, you're just trying to punk me. And
bro.
that's the difference, right? It's like these young guys, some of them, they can't handle it yet, and they're gonna get chewed up. But guys like Jet are able to put these guys on their back foot a lot of times if he, you know, gets in there with them, and that's why he may be special, and that's why people are talking about him. It is what it is.
Now that you bring up the hard collar ties, it reminded me of the situation that happened at Subversive. Um, we were
Mm,
texting back and
mm.
forth,
Yeah, yeah.
and I told you what I saw, what I felt that I saw,
Mhm,
and I was listening to Tim Freeman. I want to say he was either on his podcast or the bullpen, and they brought it up,
mhm,
and he had the same take that I had, which was, you know, dude got hard collar tied a couple of times, and the ref didn't do anything.
mhm.
You know, so when he threw back, then he got in trouble. It's like, come on,
Okay,
you
and
gotta.
so yes, but then looking at the NFL, some dude checks some dude or whatever in a little scuffle or whatever, the other dude just, like, retaliates. The flag's on the second guy. If you know what I mean? The and I'm not saying that you're wrong either. I made the referee, in that situation, could have totally done more, to kinda help that work out, and
And he mentioned
listen,
that too.
no disrespect to him in any kind of way. Otherwise, it
No, no,
looked
yeah, it's a
really it,
tough job.
look, PJ is good. He's good at what he does. He cares about the athletes. That just looked like a really hectic situation, like all around. And uh, maybe he doesn't see the hard collar tie as a like an offense that needs to be checked because like that's a hard collar tie is one thing, but when a guy is just trying to slap you because he's pissed off because you're going hard, that's not the same thing. If
So
I'm going hard, a hard collar tie is legal.
it's
If you can't
legal.
hand it's why not? What's wrong with it? Is it not legal? You can't do it. Like if you're
Dude,
trying to grab him for
he was
real,
he was trying to he was kind of like a smack to the side of the neck. He was. I mean, I
yeah,
get it when you come over the top and you pull, but
no, but that's wrong though. If you reach over the top, you're exposing yourself. It's like It's like a fucking judo chop. You're supposed to come in to get your elbow frame in between you. That way he can't shoot under you. And you have your hand ready to play with. If you're reaching up and around, you're about to get killed by any good wrestler. That's you got to have that elbow frame in between you right there. And that's what I'm saying. You could tell if a guy's slapping you or if a guy's trying to collar tie, I feel like, and they can feel very similar. But Alex is heavy handed,
bro, I
period.
remember getting hit with a
So
collar tie that fucking put my eyes to like
for sure, for sure.
fucking. I'm like, what the fuck? Are we
Mhm.
going like this? So
In tournaments, is to be expected, and in bigger,
yeah,
like,
thank
situations
goodness.
like that, is to be expected. Um, and if you don't expect it, you're gonna get caught with it and then wanna complain and then get caught behind because technically it's not illegal to throw hard collar ties if you're actually trying to tie up, and if you follow up with it and different things like that or whatever, you know what I mean? Um, that's my perspective on it. Uh, dude, you know, has the right to fight back if he feels like the ref's not protecting him and doing what he's supposed to do and keeping it fair in that way. Uh, so, so yeah, I would have thrown back too if I felt like but I would have like if I was the other guy going against Alex and Alex was doing that against me and I backed off a couple of times and saw the referee wasn't going to do anything, then I'm just coming back in now with my own aggressive style of tie ups. And if he says something to me, I'm just going to ignore him. Like you can't sit there and argue with the referees, or you can't sit and waste your mental time to sit there and try to be like, oh, but well, you just didn't tell him. It's like nobody cares, man. And you can't argue with the referee. You're being distracted, and unless he stops it and says something, you're about to get dumped and beat up. So just do it and make him stop you from doing it too. And then when they stop the match or whatever, you separate and you be like, hey, is this like, is this what we're doing? Because if this is what we're doing, then I'm with it. But if it's not, then somebody should tell my man to chill out too, because y'all only telling me this, but you can't just stop in the middle of it and whine. And not saying dudes whining or whatever, but like and complain, right? You got to fight. It's a fight, man. This is a fight. People say it's not a fight. If you're not with that intensity, if you're not going out there with that same like mindset, not necessarily that you're trying to like hurt the dude per se or like fight him, but like you're carrying that same like mentality into it. And if you're not, you're gonna lose to a guy who is a lot of times, especially at this high level. There's
I
money on the
understand
line.
that. No, I understand that part too, but I mean, still, I feel like if you get hit and you're, you know, fucking wobbling, I mean,
What
come
about a
on.
hard takedown then?
Oh, that's a different thing, bro. I mean, you can't. What what happens? You can't move the ground. Ground's not going anywhere.
But what
That's
you've tried to tie up with this guy and he keeps circling. You're tying up, he keeps circling. You're trying to grab and you can't get anything going. So you have to grab him. You have to put hands on him, right? And
no.
dude,
You
oh,
listen.
and another example, freaking Denise and Rotolo at CJI. Like I may have got my ass kicked, but if I was Denise, we would have started throwing hands right then at K Rotolo because
Remind
Denise tied up
remind me
hard.
what happened.
He went so Denise tied up with hard with Cade, and then went for like a hard sweep foot sweep trip kind of idea. It was a kick. It was like a Muay Thai kick. But dude, that's what you do against a good, strong, sturdy guy. Basically, in that you can't knock them down, man. Not if they're sturdy. You got to really get after that. And then like Cade separated and just threw a three-piece at him. And they're, just open handed, but he hit him like with a 1, 2, 3, basically almost.
Oh, okay. I
Uh,
remember now.
and then Denise just kind of like stopped and looked at the ref and they stopped him and talked to him or whatever. But it's like, no, man, like I would have fought right then. And whatever the case was, they would have stopped it or whatever. But like as a competitor or whatever it is, I feel like you gotta not take that. If somebody's trying to just like do that, they're trying to punk you, and there's good, hard, aggressive grappling that certain people may not like. Nobody likes to get hit hard or tripped or slammed or taken down or lose. Nobody really likes any of that. So you can't worry about a dude and his feelings in that way. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to put him down. And now at that there's $1 million potentially coming at the backside of it. Nah, man, I'm not backing up. I'm not backing up for shit. And that's the kind of mentality you got to bring into these higher level competitions, or you're gonna laugh your way out, trying to have fun and end up just not being back at anything because these real guys are not being playful. They're not
So,
there to joke around.
so do you think that those guys already have made that leap, that mental leap where like, oh, this is what it's gonna be, and I'm coming for it. They're
You're
not.
preparing for it, especially at heavyweights. Like maybe at the lighter weights or whatever, the clubbing and heavy handedness stuff is not necessarily as much prevalent, but definitely for the bigger guys, big dudes are going to do that, dude. They're going to do it. That's what they rely on a ton, is just trying to be heavy handed and trying to make you get mad and like die for their legs and get stuck up under them or make a bad shot or, what I mean, do something like that. That's what they're doing it for, is to get the reaction out of you. Right. And so that's the thing. You've got to meet that somehow, and not saying to go crazy and just start throwing haymakers or whatever, right? But in a tactical way, just get in there and get some get back. It's just what it is. And if you don't have that in you, you're probably not going to make it very far as a competitor, right? I just don't see how. right? If some dude knocks you off your block and you don't care, that not saying you got to be mad about it, but like or throw, you know what I'm saying? But like you got to at least have that, like, got to have that dog in you.
Like Andy said, you got to have
Yeah,
that dog in
that's what
you.
I'm saying. It's just there's just something, and a guy like Andy is that guy, right? What if you show up to go with him and you're not prepared?
Man,
You
I
about to
don't
get
even
chewed
want to
up.
do an open mat with that dude.
No, and you're gonna get chewed up if you don't have that with, and not saying that, he's gonna beat you up, but like he's gonna beat you up with jujitsu at the very least, and he's heavy handed and fast, but that's what draws the reactions. A hard collar tie causes you to react fast and hard and pull back hard, which gives me my ability to chase my counter instead of just like weak patty cake and stuff or whatever. Is like you got to get in there and tie it up some. I feel like, and man, this is a combat sport. You know,
So basically what you're saying is don't bring that weak shit.
no, man, you can't. Not if you want to make it. Not if you want to be on Dream Team in season 42.
Yeah, I could see you at like practice and be like, don't be telling me nothing about no fucking hard collar ties. They do it to you, you do it back. Shut up and just go.
I try to do it the other way, man, before, and people don't care. They're like, "Oh, he hurt me," and it's like, listen, you got to stand. That's what we're doing here. Is you're learning how to defend yourself. If you can't prevent that and stop it, and I'm not saying like people going ham is okay in training and stuff like that, but like
Yeah.
you've got to learn to defend yourself. That's the whole point of this shit. Is if somebody's trying to be extra aggressive with you, you're supposed to be able to counter. That's the whole point, I thought, right? And if that's not the case, then maybe you're doing it wrong, and you got to be able to match it. And I'm not saying go out of bounds and get yourself disqualified, or do something that's going to cause you to lose the match per se. But I'm not going to sit here and just get backed up, because then I'm giving up the match anyway, right? You're basically just conceding already, and that ain't good.
Yeah. Hey, we got a
So,
couple of questions here. Let's
oh shit,
address
people are
this.
watching.
Yeah. It says, does anyone know how the weight classes work, or is it only one weight class for the season? Uh, yeah, it's only one weight class for the season. It's 205 for season 7. Next season, you know what? I know the weight, but I haven't been given the authorization to release that. So
For next season, the weight.
yeah,
Dang, man, you are the insider. Like I'm
bro,
just
we are the
someone. It's
insiders.
just I don't have all that information all the time. Maybe I just gotta ask more questions. Next
Let's see
Friday,
what next Friday. Yes, sir. When is
right?
episode 3 out? Next Friday. Episode 1's out. Episode 2 came out. What did you think of episode 2?
Talking to me.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was good, man. I think they're capturing like the mood a lot. That
Yeah.
they got a good like feel. Obviously, they were there, right? But they're doing a good job, I think, of telling the story. And I'm seeing some things that I didn't see. Obviously, being there, we were doing our jobs, and like we weren't at some of the interviews and uh,
Yeah.
the side stories of some of the things that these guys are talking about, like amongst themselves, and things
Yeah.
like that. Obviously, I didn't get to see, so I think it's really well done so far. It's been great. It's fun. Uh, it's given me an opportunity to critique myself a good bit, and not just I'm hearing all the announcements. Just
Yeah.
they're running. Most of it is like they're doing the walkouts with the names, and then the winner and the names, and it's like, okay, well, okay, I heard that. Okay, just different like cadence, things, or what I like when I said it or what I didn't like. So I'm also just kind of like using it as a way to go back and try to be a little better for this coming up season, because man, I couldn't really go back through and watch the whole season for every like walkout
Day.
and different interview and different thing like that. My brain shut down on me. So it's been cool to see it like that and hear it that way.
Yeah.
And what's up,
I
Gio?
Yeah, Giovanni Ortiz, PGF vet for season 3,
Mm,
and he was at the qualifiers. Man, he looked good, bro.
Nashville.
He
Yeah,
looked
definitely
good.
look tough. Definitely look tough. Um, So yeah, dude, if you were still, I don't know if you're still like tuned in or whatever, man. But how was that qualifier for you? What do you think? Was that one of the more like stacked qualifiers you've seen so far from your experience in the PGF? We'll just kind of keep talking and type in your response if you're out there. But yeah, man, circling back into all that kind of stuff, right? You've got to be willing to like fight basically to win. And if not, then you're probably not going to. And I think that's competition like as a whole. And I'm not saying you should fight or you should like do things that are illegal or immoral or any of that, but you got to be willing to stand up for yourself within the rules of the game. And then again, if the referee or if the people in charge aren't protecting you, then it's your responsibility, your coach's responsibility, or somebody just to get you out of there, right? And don't play. Like if it's not good like that, then just don't play the game, right? And that's not us. We're not doing that. Uh, but definitely, there's been situations where you're doing events or matches or fights, especially things, and somebody wants you to do something. It's a matchup or whatever. It's just not good. Guy's dangerous or whatever. Don't do it. Your responsibility is yourself. I think that's one of the things we talked about with the injury stuff last week, maybe, or the week before or whatever. The accountability ends up at the end of the day on you for protecting yourself and your health.
What's your
Hey,
answer?
100. Hey, I'm with it. I'm
Keeping
with
it
all
real,
that.
bro.
Listen, that's what I'm saying, right? That's the only way, Geo. And you may never make it to the top tier, but that's the only way you ever will. Is that attitude like that? Because the guys are going to hide after those experiences, they're never going to be able to come back and get over that hurdle of whatever that is. So definitely, man, just know that sometimes it's not your day, and sometimes there's things you can do about it, and sometimes it's like, hey, that dude just was a buzzsaw, or some things just is what it is, right? So definitely, man, keep grinding, homie. We'll be looking for you definitely in the future for whatever's coming up and PGF stuff for sure.
Well, he's also. I think he was a little smaller than most of those guys because I think he competes at 170 or 185 normally, if I'm not
Yeah, I
mistaken.
think I think 85s for sure.
Yeah,
It could have been 70s because he was in the 70s season for PGF when they did the quintet season. So that
right.
was 70s, right? Yeah. Or was
I
that
believe so.
55s?
No, it wasn't 55. That was
No, it's 70s.
64. Yeah.
64. What a random number. Like that is what it is. But yeah, this season being 205 is gonna be cool, I think. That's closer to kind of what I was at the season we did was 220,
205.
or we did like 220, I think, or yeah, I think so. It
Oh,
wasn't a clean 205 because I wouldn't have been able to make that.
okay.
It was like 220 or something like that. It was like the close to whatever the 99 kilos kind of weight category was, I think, for ADCC, something like that.
Do you think we'll ever see another one of those? Because we haven't done one since. I mean, we've only done one or more, but still, dude, will we see like a heavyweight division? You think? And
Man,
if so, would you be fucking interested in jumping in?
so that's obviously two questions. Heavyweight, heavyweight is different than 220s, right? Heavyweight is like big, big guys. Um, I feel like we will see that at some point. Um, the depth though is kind of tough at that weight category. Usually, it's gotten better in the last several years. More guys are competing now, but a lot of the guys in our weight class that are the biggest and the most athletic typically go to the other sports, basketballs, footballs, things like that, where they can get a lot more money. But
Yeah.
now with the money and stuff kind of being here, or there's guys who, kind of like the UFC guys that were NFL guys that are coming back and crossing over and stuff like that. So there'll definitely be a time, I feel like, where that'll happen. Uh, I just I'd have to get a list together and see 16 or 20 guys roughly, or wait, 24, right? That would be able to be on a good list together to see if it's quite yet feasible to have that season yet. Would I be interested? The further we get down the line, no. Like from today, the further it goes, like not really, man. Like it, yes, in my heart, always, right? For sure. If it's like the 40-something-year-old heavyweight group, I'm the number one draft pick. I feel like a lot of times, depending on who else
100.
shows up, you know what I'm saying? I got experience in the rule set. The oldest guy that's ever competed in the PGF, I think.
Wait, were you?
Definitely was for our season. I don't know if that's true across the board though. There's probably been
No,
somebody else for another one.
Dave Cooper's got you beat.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. TurboTax.
TurboTax.
Yeah, Big Dave. Hey, we love Dave, man.
We love Dave, bro. I feel so bad for giving him that fucking nickname.
Hey, he's a real one though, dude. Like that's the thing.
Oh,
Like if you go out there and you line up against a guy like him, he's not beating his chest and acting crazy or whatever, but he's not quitting. He's not going to give
no.
up, and he's going to push it as hard as he can. Now,
Bro,
those young elite guys, they got too much for him, man. It is what it is. That's the game. But definitely, he's got that dog in him for sure. For
100,
sure.
100%.
Yeah, much love,
100%.
Gio, man. For sure, dude. Anytime we'll have you back, I think, or at least I can't say that, so I got to stop saying that. I can't say anytime because they don't let me make those decisions because I'd have like a 600-man roster.
Man.
Everybody
Listen,
gets a shot.
at
No,
some point, the PGF is going to be so big that it's going to be like, monthly, a monthly tournament with like different
sheesh.
weight classes. You know what I'm saying?
So I wonder what that could be, right? Or how often could could it really be, put together and pulled off, um, with the different weight classes and both male and female opportunities to figure out. There was a time where the UFC was like once or twice a year,
Yeah, I remember that.
also,
Bro,
right? And
and they
then
were so
then the
special.
depth, yeah, and the depth, allowed for this massive growth to where now there's one every other week or so, right? And
Yeah.
and like you said though, the other way made it really special. And so I don't know what the line is in saturation, maybe, but we're showing them too many times back to back to back, and it doesn't really have that like thing to whereas maybe running it like we are 2, 3, maybe 4, whatever kind of times a year or something like that gives you a chance to want it more in between. You kind of have a chance to like build up.
Missed it for a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's why football works so much because it's such a short season, and everybody like the games really it's 10 games or 12 games or whatever it is in college, and like it's really like so everybody's like, oh, I can't wait because it's just like this really intense short thing, um, and so we've kind of turned jujitsu the other, from being that into a week long event to where you can kind of feel some of that. I don't know that maybe something like that though couldn't be a thing to where there is a 8, 9, 10, 12 week stretch where that is the yearly PGF season where maybe we can run several weight classes back to back to back while we got our rhythm, and we're just kind of doing what we do, and just replace weight classes and athletes kind of and have the set and stuff like that. Uh, maybe that is something that's a thing. You know what I mean? Like that's sports, right? That's what sports are. So I don't know. The possibilities are really like still pretty endless. I feel like on what the format, so to say, for timing of shows or seasons is going to be. But I never really thought about that until just then. What you said, about kind of running them all together, or anything. So that's. I don't know. It's it's an interesting thing.
I mean, we're just starting, bro, which is what's insane.
No, for
We
sure.
ha- I mean, and it seems like every season's getting a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. That's good, right? And we want to keep doing that. We got to keep doing that. Uh just keep rolling the ball down, down the line, and again, finding these good athletes that are going to compete and have the spirit of the thing, the PGF behind it and behind them, and they're in it for themselves, obviously, to get what they can get, but for the greater good of the thing. You know what I mean? Like you're in the league, kind of idea. Uh, that would be cool to get to that point to where it's like it's a thing to where you can't wait to get drafted into the PGF. That's like a kid's dream is that like I'm gonna grow up and I'm gonna get drafted, into the PGF and be a PGF professional grappler. And
Yeah,
that's like your job. So
it'll happen.
that's that's what
I
we're
believe
trying.
that it will.
That's what we're doing. That's what we're working towards in some ways. And I think it's on the horizon if we can get it. Like you were saying, whichever that is the more less or the less more kind of whichever it is in that way. Uh, hmm, that's
Well,
cool.
look at Sacramento. I think they have the first combat university, first combat program um, in any college, and they got jujitsu, Muay Thai, boxing, and something else. And I think Uriah Faber's like one of the coaches. So
The
it's
first
happening
one, the first one, like a
to
club, you
have
mean?
to have a combat program.
So well, egghead you hear. That's technically not true. That's how I got into the sport. Is
Really?
this the school's now defunct? It wasn't ever like it never really kind of the housing market crashed, kind of killed it back in '09 or whatever. But there was a guy in San Bernardino, California that had a school that was a sports university that he was starting that had different degrees you can get and coaching, business management, marketing, different
Wow,
sporting it, and they had a ton of like Korean
that's not new.
students that were coming over and they were learning English at the same time they were in classes doing their, business man whatever coaching da 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 kind of stuff. Uh and so that's how I got a scholarship there. I went for a tryout and almost died, but I was like really tough. Like throwing up, bad shape, just didn't want to quit, just kind of thing like that. Uh yeah, man, I don't ever tell the story. But like, yeah, just kind of went out there for the tryout and was, you know, not in good shape, very fat, very out of shape, and just was like, man, this is an opportunity. I'm gonna do it, and just was throwing up and whatever, but didn't quit. And the dude was like, man, like the fact that you push yourself and did all that kind of stuff is the kind of guy that we need to help have a thing like this get going. You know what I mean? So like we want to offer you like a spot to come be here or whatever. And so I did, and that was the first few years of like my training was at this American Sports University in San Bernardino, California. Uh, and so Dr. Huang, big real estate guy, when the market crashed, like I said, in '09, uh, he just couldn't, it didn't work because he couldn't fund it anymore. So that kind of went away. And so it's not been a thing since
Were they
2010
like
or so.
an NCAA accredited
No, so
university?
that was the thing is that we were in the process of trying to get all those things done. We were working on the
Gotcha.
accreditation process of all of it. So we weren't quite there with that yet. And then it never actually happened
Yeah,
because
because the bubble
he
burst. Yeah,
couldn't. Yep, exactly. 100%. So it was just one of those things. I got a good bit of
that's
a
fucking
coaching
cool, bro.
degree that's not that I couldn't transfer though.
Bro,
But I got a
no,
lot of
that's
good
a great
training experience
story.
and different things. No, no, I'm just saying like that. But my degree, I did all those classes and I couldn't transfer any of the stuff because it wasn't accredited or whatever. So like,
Damn.
yeah, yeah, I learned a lot though. That's what I'm saying. Is like I got a lot of knowledge and a lot of information from it, and doing the classes was good. Like it wasn't like I didn't learn the stuff that I needed to be who am. and stuff like that. And then obviously had good training and, got to meet a lot of cool people. And so I'd never, you know, say that it wasn't the best thing that could ever happen to me was getting that opportunity to go there and do that, because without that craziness of what was kind of happening, nobody would have gave me that shot. Like, just the fact that it was kind of crazy like that is how I think that it worked out for me, that they would pick a guy who obviously was not a fighter yet in any sort of way, except for maybe just being really tough. And, I knew I could hang because I fought a lot as a kid and teenager and, stuff like that. And, uh, you know, I was moderately successful in street fights throughout my career,
Street
as a
beefs.
youngster, like never really crazy wild stuff, maybe like people may think about or whatever. But, if you're from a little town, you know what it's like. You get out
Yeah.
there and fight somebody or whatever, but it's like as soon as it's over. There's not really like follow up to like really try to hurt somebody after they're like down or whatever it was. So it wasn't like that, um but yeah, cool
That's
story.
cool, bro.
That's
I
how I
didn't
fought
know
Dan
that.
Severn. Yeah, that's when I was out there, is when I fought Dan
I
Severn.
saw that
Yeah.
clip. You posted it yesterday, right?
Yeah, my boy Seth got it. I guess he found it on YouTube. That's literally what the video looked like the day we got it. So 2009, baby, recording on a potato. Um, that's what it was, man. But yeah, like again, like I was out there at that school. The money had kind of run out. The market had kind of crashed on us. That was
Yeah.
2009. They were like, "Hey, we'll pay you $1,500 to show up and fight, and if you win, we'll give you another $1,500. Plus, we'll give you, I don't know, like a grand or more in like travel money to come up here and do it." And I was like, man, uh, I could sure use that money. And I think I could win the fight, maybe, because I had trained with guys that had kind of beaten him recently, some. And they, like, not that I beat those guys, but
Yeah.
I did well enough with them in training and stuff that I thought that maybe I could hang. And, ended up losing bro, that could be a book, that whole ordeal. But lost the decision to Mr. Severn in a 3-round fight up in Elko, Nevada. That was a very good experience for me. Again, just out there, just wilding out, no wife and kids or anything like that. Just young me, not really having a nothing, nothing but just doing whatever it took to get it. What and that money was going to supply me for more months to get to stay and train and perhaps get another fight. And if I won, anybody that had beaten Dan Severn at that point, within the next couple of fights, if they didn't have a loss, obviously, they had gotten a shot to the UFC. And so premature, that's why I lost, because I wasn't experienced. But in my young mind, I was like, this will prove to me at least too, if I beat him, then I mean, what the hell, you know what I'm saying? Uh, and then I actually did good and hung with him or whatever, and could have won again, but just didn't know enough. Really, honestly, didn't know enough, because when I got back, my coach explained to me how to use the underhook from the bottom, and so I was like, oh, I could get an underhook from the bottom and side control and just kind of get to my side and start getting a like dog fight. Oh, that's a thing, right? So I'm out here fighting Den Severn, don't even know just to get an underhook from the bottom. Of course, you're going to lose that fight, right? He's going to take you down and hold you down for the
Right.
entirety of whatever point it was. But I was fast and my hands are good, and so he couldn't get inside on me for the whole first round. And so I definitely won the first round. I tagged him a few times and he couldn't get me down, but he got me down pretty late in the second round and I couldn't get up. And then he got me down pretty early in the third round and I couldn't get up, but he didn't really like beat me up. Or we watched all his videos on YouTube. He had this seminar on YouTube. And so we watched it for like hours and hours and hours for the whole thing. And then my corner man, Chris Crosby, was like screaming. He's like, it's the stuff from the seminar. He's doing the same stuff from the seminar on YouTube. And Dan like looks up and it's like he was, though. He was running the same sets that he had taught on that seminar on YouTube on me. And so I was able to just like defend it, but I didn't know how to get away from him or get up and like wrestle up or any of that kind of stuff. I was still like probably 285 or something like that at that point. Uh, and had been training for about maybe a year and a half total. Uh,
Fuck,
so
man.
yeah, dude, it's fun, man.
You were just a baby.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just a wild one though. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I had to get it though, right? And that's what I'm saying with some of the like, the opportunity was given. And did I think that I could beat him? I didn't know, right? But I knew that I was gonna go fight him. And I knew I was gonna stand out there and I knew making that walk was gonna be hard. I'd seen this guy on WWF back in the day. I'd seen him obviously winning UFC, multiple championships through that Hall of Famer, it's like, man, this is Dan the B7, like that was to me, making the walk was as big of a thing as any other part of it. Like I committed myself to doing that, and I drove all the way from San Bernardino, California, up to Elko, Nevada, and stood across from a legend in a fight that I was unsure what was going to happen, and did okay, and that's how I got my blue belt.
Word up.
I got it when I got back. My coach was like, "Ain't no way, like I could do that and not get just destroyed and still be a white belt. So we're gonna promote Steven to his blue belt." And I was like, "Oh, cool.
Hell yeah.
Now if I learn that underhook, I must be a purple belt, I bet."
Shit, how you knocked him out? You probably would have gotten your purple.
Bro, just go ahead. Ordain me as king already, right? Son, I'm glad that didn't happen almost, right? That could have been like really bad for young me. I don't know how I
You
would have
think so?
taken it. I don't know, right? That's the thing. I'm very humble in a lot of ways and had to be because I wasn't able to win every time. And I knew that.
Yeah.
But had I taken him out early on and the fortunes changed a little bit, I don't know. I would have definitely had been more cocky if I was able to like knock Dan Severn out.
Shit.
Yeah, for sure.
You be the legend killer instead
I
of the dream.
mean, right. I don't know where I was going. Right. That's what I'm saying. I was just some dude that was fighting. I was a replacement. They had a guy. That's right. That's right, Josh. You tell them. That's why I couldn't win. That's what I'm saying. I try to be very humble and just call me the king if I knock him out, but I didn't. Right. And
Yeah.
that was a good lesson for me though. In that way, is like I had really good hands, but my grappling was trash at that point. Boxing was good. I enjoyed boxing my whole life, but never grappled. So if I wanted to be good, had to do the things that I wasn't good at, and that turned out to be like my favorite part. Once I got into it, it kind of pulled me away from wanting to box and strike as much and wanted to get into grappling and stuff. It's just better for me. So funny
It was
experience.
it was the same way for me. I started doing kickboxing. You know, I it was all right. I was never like a world beater or anything, but uh, they started teaching like a grappling class, and I'm like, okay, let me try this shit out. I tried it, and I'm like, oh, I love this shit, and you know, Muay Thai, kickboxing, just one day stopped, and I just kept going with jujitsu. I just
Nice.
Yeah, I got into it old. I was already in my 30s, and I wasn't thinking about competing, so I was not trying to do like hard camps or be anybody's training partner, which I ended up being training partners of people for a while, but because they wanted to fight. But man, like I remember getting hit one time with a kick on top of my head. I was down for like 5 minutes. For the
Damn.
next week, for the next week, I couldn't put sentences together. I had to like
Oh
really
man.
think before I spoke. And I'm like, nah, this is not for me, you
Hmm.
know?
See, dude, I never got knocked out. Like I never got knocked out in training or
I
sparring
mean,
or in fights. And like I've been buzzed though. I'm not trying to say like I've never been like
I was
flashed.
conscious, but the pain and I just
Mm,
couldn't get up.
okay, I got you.
I felt like the water in the back of my head just hit like the wall, like the cranium, and I was just
Yeah.
like, I'm just gonna sit here, and I was down for like 10 minutes, man. I
Damn.
was like, Nah, just let me be here for until I feel better."
Yeah, I just want to
But
grapple.
yeah,
I ain't trying to do all that.
yeah, yeah, man. And now that I'm grappling with the older guys, it's so much better.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Different pace. They
yeah,
care less about winning, but they still go
yeah.
hard enough, you know.
Li- Listen, on Friday, I went and trained with my coach. It was just kind of like a private or whatever. Man, I feel so helpless still. I feel like a white belt when I grapple him.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I think that's still cool. That's a thing,
Oh,
you
I
know.
want it that way. I don't want to be, better than my coach. You know what I mean?
But you should though.
Huh?
And not in a bad way like that, but like you should want to be further. And
Oh,
like as a
yes.
coach, he wants you to be better, than him.
True, true. And trust me, I don't want to get beat up like he beats me up. I'm trying,
Right.
but if I'm, canceling my coach out and beating him up, I mean, at that point, it's like, okay, I I, I don't know. I like the fact that my coach whoops my ass.
No, that's cool, man, and that's good that you have that still, and my coach would still whip my ass too if I trade with him all the time.
Yeah,
Uh, like I got better,
yeah.
and
Oh, I've gotten better.
made him do other things. Like he wasn't doing the same things all the time anymore, but
Yeah,
he was still is still better, and that just is what it is, right? And it's gonna take
yeah,
maybe forever to catch up, and it might not. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's cool.
yeah.
It's like, but I want to be better than him in a respectful way. Like I would like to honor his like lineage and like carry us all further if I could. Not saying
So
that in a way like that.
am I not honoring him by not wanting to like be better?
If you don't want to be better, like what do you like better than him? You mean?
Yeah, I just don't have that drive to want to be better than him. I guess. I mean, I'm just
I
like a
don't think it's
hobbyist.
wrong, man. Maybe I'm just crazy, right? That's what I'm saying. Like I'm crazy about this stuff for sure. Like I'm not normal. I've realized that. Like you shouldn't take my advice if you want to have a regular life.
Oh
Uh,
no, I listen. I do take your advice because it works. Your advice has led me down a path that's got me pretty happy. So I
yeah.
will take your advice.
And so that's what I'm saying. I don't mean better in a like I'm gonna beat you way, right? That's what I'm saying. Is
Yeah,
like I want to be able to know what he knows and learn
yeah,
all the lessons I can from him, but then also have gathered other
yeah,
lessons from wherever else I can find them, and then have and I think that's what I'm trying to do with teaching and with students and everybody is to I'm going to try to show you everything that I can that I know, that I think, and that I believe philosophy wise, tactics, whatever, um, but at the end of the day, I know that I didn't get as far as I maybe could have in some ways. So I'd love to be able to like facilitate that for another person to help them start, here instead of back here where I kind of started at, and then maybe they can go further with that same thing because then their students will start, way out there, ahead of where it was, and in this episode we saw Jean-Jacques say a purple belt today is like a black belt from the years ago,
I did
right?
see
And
that.
so if that's true, then the thing I'm saying kind of has to be true as well, to be getting a black belt at this point, right? Or I'm not reading that correctly? I don't know that. You know what I'm saying? At least at that point of the black belt, you'll be better than he was, but maybe you'll never be as good as he is. If you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Let me see. We got a comment here. You stand on the shoulders of those who come before.
100%, man. 100%. Like I definitely wouldn't be here doing this if it wasn't for Boogie and the guys in Tampa and San Diego, and then also my coaches before the guy. If it wasn't for Dr. Huang, starting that school in San Bernardino and letting me come, and like that's what I'm saying, like 100%. If that dude didn't spend his millions and millions of dollars on whatever he was doing, then definitely like I would have got any of the opportunities I got. So it's been that way the whole time, and then that's the humble thing, is like you got to always understand that, right? That you're always y- nobody's self-made, right? I just don't know that that's really true, and like at times you definitely got to do it alone. There's a lot of stuff that you got to do alone and you do by
Yeah.
yourself, right? But we've all had help. We've all had somebody that gave us something, even if something you paid for, somebody helped you, they gave you the information, whatever it was, and they had to go get that somehow. And so that's that thing. It's like one each one teach one, kind of thing. Um, that's what this is supposed to be, right? And of course, we all want to win, and we want to get this $100,000 for our team in the PGF World Season 7. And then you got another guy like Paul Ardilla coming in, throwing himself into the mix. Multiple time ABCC veteran, friend of the show, who came on here with us. I was really excited to see that he got his opportunity to come and challenge for Kevin's title as second most handsome man in the PGF. That'll be cool for them to fight for that, and see who it is. He is. Oh, see, look, there we go, right there, bam, right there for our boy. Yeah, so Paul's going to be a great addition to the show. He's going to be one of those kind of hammers. I think that's going to be really really hard to take out, and then I think he's also going to clip some guys that aren't maybe expecting him to be able to get them, because we've seen him have some really nice matches throughout his career, and I think he's going to want to put a stamp down on people because he's been, like you say, a little bit overlooked in a lot of ways as somebody. John B, you tripping, dog?
He's
John B,
traveling, bro.
my
He's on
man,
a plane. That's what it is.
dude's an alien. John B, where you at now, son? Um,
Right now he's in Costa Rica.
ooh, take me with you. Um, but yeah, so Paul's gonna be a great addition to the thing. Uh, I feel like he should be one of the top choices so far, considering what we know. No matter who else we find out is in this season, I think Paul should be one of the top favorites. That's what's up, John. That's what's up, man. We appreciate you watching, man. We're just gonna just that was confusing for a half second there. um, but Paul's gonna definitely be if I was building a team, he would definitely kind of be one of the guys I think that could be a nice centerpiece. And if you could somehow sneak him as a second pick, something like that, um, I don't know. I'd have to see the list and like see who's there. But I really feel I don't know, maybe a little bit too hyped up for it, but I really feel like he's one of the top five for sure.
Yeah, I think we're gonna cut here because we started to talk about the roster, and I already leaked the name, and I don't want to leak another name.
We said we
So
could do this one. That was fine. Talking about Paul's fine. He had a post
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah,
but you start
yeah,
talking
man.
about the list, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, but what about Oh,
I feel you. I feel you can't handle it. See, you can never break kayfabe, Wallow. You just gotta just keep talking, baby. They ain't gonna know. Hey,
uh,
John B ain't gonna tell nobody.
so hopefully we'll get more people now being announced in the
Yeah,
weeks coming, and we'll share what we know and what we can share on the show. Unfortunately, we missed our boy today. He had some stuff that he wanted to talk about, but we did good, man.
yeah, we did good. Thanks, Josh, for not snitching on us on the transmission shutdown show that doesn't exist.
It does
But
exist. I
it's
couldn't
still
delete
there. Oh wow, it's still there. There you go.
it.
But yeah, man, this was fun,
Oh,
dude. That's what I'm saying. We just get on here, we could talk a little bit, hit some PGF stuff, and then we'll see where the thing takes us. And when we got some good folks in here listening, following along with us, chatting with us. We appreciate that, man. It makes it a lot more fun when you guys are engaged and like talking to us. So that's cool, man. Appreciate that.
You know what we should do? We should do like a Q&A with one of the athletes and just be like, okay, this day we're going to have so and so. If y'all want to come in and ask a bunch of questions, and we'll just go down the line. We should do
Just
that
try to
one.
moderate it. Yeah, that'd be fun. And
Yeah.
Joe, dude, Josh had mentioned maybe coming on and filling a gap one day. On a day like today, that would have been perfect. We didn't know though, Josh, until we started. So definitely be looking on that invite one day from us for sure. We'll have the Daily Triangle on there. And John B's questions from Colombia or Mexico.
Yeah.
Who knows?
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week. We got a guest next week, and y'all
Uh-oh.
we're gonna tune in. We
Who
can't
is it?
tell you. We
Oh,
can't tell them yet, but tune in
that's
next
called a
week.
teaser.
Yeah. Peace. Adios, muchachos.